And the amount of money companies spend to try to repair a bad situation, to try to repair the brand.
Millions, probably.
Oh, it's beyond millions. You have to think like that athlete or that hip-hop artist. They go in like, I'm gonna kill it. I'm the best. When you got a job, you're basically fulfilling somebody else's purpose. You're enhancing somebody else's brand. In establishing a brand, you have to go in with the mentality, I'm here to serve.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Growth Motivator Live with your host, me, Dr. Lisa L. Campbell. My guest in the building today is the ultimate graphic designer, brand expert, Trevell Southall, also known as TS of TS Design Studio. Hello there.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right.
Can you believe that you designed my first website? Wait, I hate to be like a husband-wife thing. When did you design my first website?
Man, we gotta go back because I always do things by destinations and locations. But I believe when I started working with you, I was off Lincoln Highway in Cicero.
And I don't even know because, it was years before we even saw each other because we did everything virtually.
I believe so. If we go back then, I would have to say 07, 08.
So it was actually 2009.
Oh, okay.
And I think I saw you, you did a design for some church or something. And I was like, oh, I want him to do my website.
Okay.
So here we are, it's 2024.
Wow.
And you've actually designed 3 websites for me.
Yeah, I did.
So
I do remember the websites I did for you.
Yes. And logos and all of that, marketing collateral over the years.
Yes.
So today we're going to be talking about building your personal brand, your business brand. I think we were chatting before we went live. A lot of people don't know what is meant by a brand. But before we dig into brand, you and I have had extensive conversations about that transition from being a part-time entrepreneur to a full-time entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So November 2023, I finally decided that I was no longer going to be held hostage by salary and benefits.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about your journey from when you decided you were going to make that decision to be a full-time entrepreneur.
That's a great question. because I was never, which I believe, an entrepreneur type. Because you know, I got some people, I want to be on my own, run my own business. I was never that. I was a kid who was with, stayed by myself, quiet, just like things simple. My thing was, all right, I guess I go to school, get a job. Really had no ambition like that. But what happened is when I actually started working in corporate, because I'm in the design space, you come up with these ideas and you want a voice, right? And I found out this order. So I'm appreciative of that corporate experience. But it gets to the point that you sign off on your ideas, and who's ever in charge, they the one who get the credit. Not that I did it for credit and stuff like that. It's just that you have ideas and input, stuff can't get in, or you're the newbie. So I guess I was paying my dues, but then I started seeing problems that I knew I can solve or just do differently. And I just had that urge, and then I just became, once that bug hit me, because I was always doing side jobs. I guess you can say from college and so forth, I was always doing my own thing. So to go in a corporate setting, to follow certain rules and regulations, I wasn't being creative or wasn't solving problems like I would want. And when that bug hit me, it was like, mine just really hit me harder than most people. And me, when people start making money, they start thinking about their lifestyle. Me, I'm a very simple guy. You know, my wife was cool at the time. She was like, as long as you're paying the bills, we'll live whatever lifestyle you're living. And so it wasn't that pressure of having a certain amount of income and stuff coming in. So when I made to move, I gotta admit it was very dysfunctional because you get to a crossroad, you gotta make a decision because I had so much side work coming in, and then trying to be on a schedule at a job. It's those two worlds collided, and then I started getting sloppy,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got caught, and then I kind of got demoted, and then I was just like, went to another job, and I was like, I'm just gonna start this whole cycle all over again. So I did part time, and my sister and brother had a business going on, so I did part time with them, part time while I was doing my own thing. And then from there, within a year, I was able to get enough clients that, and I'm just really fast forward, I was able to get enough clients that I was able to sustain just doing what I'm doing now.
I love it. What I realized was when you realize you are the talent, you will no longer allow yourself to
Yeah,
be held hostage.
yeah, yeah. And like I like to say, the corporate experience really taught me discipline. Like
Mm,
I didn't know what a project manager was. I didn't know none of that stuff. I didn't know how to price my services. So what I did is I worked under a manager, and then he had a spreadsheet, an Excel sheet, and he had all these numbers on it, and he taught me what all those numbers was. And that was the greatest thing I got from corporate is a project management Excel sheet because it showed me how much they was billing me out. It showed me how they was breaking down that employee fee, my employee fee from insurance, that coming out of this, and then it showed the corporate rate. I was getting paid at that time, man. It was out of college. I think I was getting like $12 or $13 an hour. Yeah,
mm.
it was low, but the company was billing me out at like $90 or $95 an hour, and that was just an entry level designer. Then they had the project manager fees that they were billing out. Then they had the people that was drawing the blueprints. I started at an architectural firm, and I was the guy that was doing the illustrations or doing space planning and stuff like that. So that taught me that. But then sitting in on the meetings and ideas and the problems that was coming through and hearing what people were saying, I was like, well, why don't they do it this way? Well, why don't they do it that way? Then you'll bring it up, and then you kind of like, oh, you're the new guy. Nobody's listening to you. And it's like, then you get a side job, and everybody's listening to you. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So that's how that worked out.
Well, you know what? And when I'm out, I'm in healthcare. So when I'm out at a hospital, physician office, and I'm helping them solve a problem, the internal employees will always say, we told them that, we told them that. But it's something about that external expert that they believe knows exactly what they're talking about. Even if you don't, they believe you do because you're presenting yourself as this expert.
Yeah. And believe it or not, I know when we get to that topic, that's powerful for branding.
Mm.
The way people see you. So that's why you believe them so. Like, if somebody, like, you got the title in front of you, I expect you. If you earn, I know what it takes for somebody to have that doctor in front of their name, whether you're a PhD or MD. That took some time, some studying, some paying attention to stuff. So if you say something, I'm gonna take it over the guy who I don't know. And in the fastest way to understand somebody is through their credentials. That's why I never understand when people say, I don't go by titles and titles don't mean nothing. Yeah, they do. Because titles is the main thing people use for their brand. You identify through a title.
Absolutely.
Because without me sitting there having a 30-minute conversation telling you about me, if I just say Dr. So-and-so, that come with a resume just by saying doctor. You
It
see what I'm saying?
does. It does. And you know what? It took me a long time to realize how powerful my brand is. So we go back to 2009. You created my first website, Physician Practice Resources. And that was the brand that I was trying to promote. During the pandemic, I met with the marketing firm for 8 hours. And at the end of the exercise, the experience, what they said was, you, Dr. Lisa L. Campbell, are actually the brand. And so immediately after, I had you create the new
Yeah.
website for Dr. Lisa L. Campbell. So October 2023, and I don't think I told you this, but I actually closed Physician Practice
Yeah.
Resources because in letting go of that full-time job, I realized that as the talent, if you Google Dr. Lisa L. Campbell, I come up,
Yeah.
right, on multiple
Yeah.
platforms. So I had to embrace my brand. But you said something earlier that your brand was your reputation. And I think a lot of people don't realize
Yeah.
that. And I have learned that your brand follows you as a person, but also from a professional perspective.
Yeah. That is very, very huge. And for like yourself, most people are afraid when it comes to that personal brand because some people are just gifted when they're living in their purpose, but the fear, that responsibility that come with that purpose, it comes with a lot of expectations. Because just think, when you're the client, if I say I'm gonna do this website and I'm saying I'm the best at it, because that's how you're gonna market yourself. It's an expectation now that comes with that, especially if you get a referral from somebody whose reputation is on another level. I have to come in. Not only do I have to satisfy you, but I got to satisfy the person who referred me,
Mm-hmm.
which is key, because you ever refer somebody and that person sucks. Do you ever refer them again?
Never.
See how powerful that all comes from reputation. You see what I'm saying? So some jobs I got hired just off somebody's word, because
Mm-hmm.
that individual's brand or reputation is so key that in the other individual, no, he's not going to send me to somebody that's trash because his reputation is on the line.
You know what? And that's so true because there have been situations where someone has asked me, well, do you know someone that does XYZ? And I'll say, yeah, but I don't think that person is the right resource for you because I know in the
Yep.
background some things that they've done. And I'm like, yeah, they're not ready. And it's not that they won't ever be ready. They're just not ready at that
Yep.
time. And I don't want to put my name on the line.
Yeah, because everybody at the end of the day is looking for an opportunity. Everybody say they want to do this. Everybody say they want to be a boss. But then once you start giving people that laundry list of what that entails, and the people now that you're going to start working with, you see what I'm saying? Reality hits. Because I work with a lot of people. They'll come in and they will invest a lot of money. They probably have a great idea, great product, or a great service. And it's mostly with a product. They would get all the stuff they need, all the promotional stuff. You'd be surprised how many people would do this. And when it gets time to present it to the world or that investor, they immediately freeze and shut down or think of 50 million excuses why they have to prolong it until later on it just goes away. And in my head, I'm like, you just invested about 25,000 in this endeavor, but to walk away, that fear just hit them so hard that they couldn't bear that if somebody said they failed or that somebody said they sucked, that alone destroyed them. But I'll go back to work. That's safe. That's easy. Because when you go back to work, when you got a job, you basically fulfilling somebody else's purpose. You're enhancing somebody else's brand. No matter how much you say you're getting paid, how much you're doing, when you work at a job and they give you a check, depending on what your role is, who's ever created or whoever that name, you're working to enhance that brand. And that's what you're being compensated for.
You know what? I actually had that revelation probably about 2 years ago, that the school that I was teaching at, that I was helping them make billions when I was the talent, and they definitely weren't compensating me for being the talent. And I know that's true because, it's 2024. I'm gone from that company, and people are still messaging me like, oh, we saw your videos, on YouTube. You're so amazing. And I think about all of the time that I was comfortable and didn't make that transition away from them because of the salary.
Yeah.
But I was the one I had the goods, right? I was the one that was making them look good, even on their bad days.
Yeah.
So talk to us about building a brand. What do you think some of the first things that people should do? Because I think everybody thinks, oh, I got a logo, so I'm a brand, and you should hire me and pay me $20,000. So what are some of, if you had to highlight the beginning stages of building that brand?
Okay, first most people have a product or they have a service. In establishing a brand, you have to go in with the mentality, I'm here to serve. Period. It's not about you. If you want to affect a brand and affect a reputation, it's not about you. You have to go in, I want to solve a problem to help.
Period. I love that. Solve the problem.
Go in, and then know that you can solve that problem. Because what a lot of people do is they will get into something. They will see the problem. That problem can potentially make them a lot of money. And they say, well, I'll figure it out as I go. That's cool if at some point you know you can fix the problem. Because building your brand is going to come with a lot of failures, a lot of disappointments. Because, like I said, a brand is your reputation. So that can go both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about your failures. Those people going to think you suck. They like, but then you're going to have the people that you satisfy. And those are the people you want to focus on because you want to get better. So I always tell people, learn from your mistakes. The only way you're going to be successful in building your brand and being a successful entrepreneur, you're going to be some bumps along the way. Once you do that, now you got the problem. Now you understand how to solve the problem. Now you got to have a process. What's your process to keep it going? So that you'll be known for solving that problem. And that's how you build your company reputation, of the way you solve that problem. And you're able to do it multiple times without a problem.
Effortlessly, right?
Effortlessly. Because that's what God blessed everyone with a purpose. And once you figure out, I knew I just had to accept the responsibility. I knew I was good. God blessed me with that. But do I want to deal with all these people? Because God will let you know, He's going to send you these people. And it got to the point when I was working with my brother, and all these people was coming. And my brother had a studio, and I laid out, man, I do so much. I just laid out a bunch of excuses that'll hold me back. I was just, man, I'm going to need this printer. I'm going to need to do this. oh, I need this type of software. It's going to cost this amount. And out the blue, he just said, come on, let's go get it. When he went and invested in that, I had no excuse. So now I had to put a process together. And then he said, in doing this, you're going to have to raise your prices. Because then I saw that I was different. You have to acknowledge this early on. You have to know you're good. You have to think like that athlete or that hip hop artist. They go in like, I'm going to kill it. I'm the best. So you got to go in as a business, not sugarcoating like, well, now if you want to be the best, and you just got to think bigger. And then that will enhance you. And make sure you're able to handle the load. Don't take on more than what you can handle. Take in the load you can and make sure your audience is satisfied, because then they'll start referring you. And then at some point you'll call somebody like me. My job is only to produce visual or audio elements to enhance your reputation, because you can't be in all these places at one time. How do we let what you do communicate simultaneously to people around the world without you physically doing it? And so that's where you get the website, you get the billboards, you get the social media campaigns, you get the PR campaigns, you get a whole marketing strategy. That's when all those elements come into place, and then you start to put together a sales team, and that's your whole marketing umbrella. But marketing is to help you send out and communicate. That's what they call it, communications, to communicate to a large audience. And all we do is help you identify what you do. That's why the first thing when you sit down, if you sit down with somebody like me and they don't ask you what problem you're trying to solve, because we have to find out where the value is or where the problem is. Every time you call me, you wanted to do something. You saw a problem. What can you do to help? How can I get the word out that I'm the person that can solve that problem? And so we focus on the good part of your reputation, the good part of your brand, because of course you don't want to promote how all the failures. And notice how I say failures, because it's okay, because that was one of the things early on that really didn't hinder me too much, because I was born hearing impaired. And that's why these are not buds, these are hearing aids. And so with that came a lot of failures, miscommunications. So I felt doing the wrong thing a lot of times because of miscommunication. So I know what it felt to fail early on, if that makes sense. So that really didn't bother me. But like I said, it was the responsibility when that load comes on you, and then that expectation. Because when you're handicapped growing up, people don't put a lot of expectations on you. Then all of a sudden you're in a position, you got expectation. Now you got to make the decision. I got to deliver. Because what I do, as far as we can come up with a great advertising campaign, we can do X, Y, Z, but at the end of the day, it all falls back on you. And if you don't embrace what God blessed you with, you want your brand to be you're the best, or you want everybody to say that, oh, she got potential, but yeah, she didn't do this. Because I'm telling you, bad news spread way fast. You don't have to pay people hundreds of thousands of dollars to show how you feel. People just do that public, people just blast that out for you for free. But your success comes with pure organization. And that's why people have strategic marketing, strategic advertising. You'll see an athlete, if you're representing my brand, you notice if that athlete get any type of accusations on them, that big corporation separates themselves from
Immediately.
And the reason being is it's not about if he's guilty or not. It's nothing to do with that. They just don't want, when that influencer's name is brought up, they don't want their name brought up. Oh, isn't that the guy who represents Nike? Or isn't that the guy? No. First thing you know, immediately he was cut off.
Immediately.
He's no longer.
Look, and in the social media age, the shade rooms and all the places, they are on Instagram, and you just see They've pulled their
Quick.
backing quick.
They can't take no chance because like with PPR court, anybody who's working for you out the blue, what if that person does something crazy, goes viral? You are Dr. Lisa Campbell, and people see this person with you, working with you. You're gonna get a bunch of calls. You want to be in a position to say, "Oh, you know what? We have integrity. We this, that, and the other." So you probably say, "Until this is all figured out, that person's no longer with us," or we decided to, because your reputation at the end of the day is everything. Because now, especially through social media, people buy based on your reputation, who you are, what you represent. And if any of that change or anything that has a dent, that can affect your sales dramatically. And so it's powerful. And so I always tell people, when you talk about a brand, how are you as a person? Especially with personal brands. Do people actually like you? No, really. Do they actually like you? Do you have something that people actually like? Are you actually giving good advice? Are you actually helping people? Because you can be putting out all this cool stuff and this, that, and the other, but at some point, you have to be benefiting the people you're serving.
Absolutely. And I think I know when I'm in settings, whether it's personal or professional, I pride myself on being the same Lisa Campbell in
Yeah.
all of those settings. And that's important for my brand.
Yeah.
I don't want people to see me, and I'm sure there's some video footage of me out doing the percolator somewhere or having fun, but 95% of the time, I'm showing up as the same person in every setting because I realize how powerful my brand is. And then all it takes is that one bad decision to ruin my reputation.
And I don't think people really understand the amount of money companies spend to try to repair a bad situation, to try to repair their brand.
Millions, probably.
Oh, it's beyond millions. And unless it's strategic, sometimes they don't get the reputation back, so they try to shift it into another gear to try to get another audience. But at the end of the day, you have to try to be what you say you are. And that's why, like, if you are a person that's probably on the negative side of things, you this bad girl, bad boy reputation, and as you get older, you try to clean it up. You know,
put your little glasses on and try to look.
They bring in whole teams for that. It's millions of dollars pushed into that because now you got to. We knew you as this bad, drunk, snobby party goer. Now you this socialite who's going to these, expensive things. You're a philanthropist now, but that's a lot of, and it takes time. It takes time because it has to build, and the money that you're putting in so that people constantly see your growth. Because think about if you saw somebody 10 years ago and they advertised that they were the bad boys, and then you see them 10 years later, you know how hard it is for you to break away. This was the guy that was the gangster thug rapper, Sometimes it takes a generation.
Turned preacher.
Yeah, it takes a generation. Like, for example, we know Ice Cube as NWA. We grew up with that. But then they did the movie. My kids knew him only as Are We There Yet? So the writer cleaned up. When they saw him was gangster, they couldn't see that. But we got a chance to see how you can shift your brand from one way to another. So, when you see the guys who were able to maintain longevity and they are able to cross over to a more sophisticated role, but it takes time and money and development in order, and it comes with the times too. And so personal branding, you have to, I give you, for example, in my case, at some point I had to grow up, be the man that God called me to be a part of community. And the way I'm doing it is being more involved in church and just doing productive stuff, going to, sophisticated outings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not hanging out in clubs and stuff like that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing more sophisticated things because I want to build my brand so I can meet more elite people. Because if I do that, those more elite people will want to work with me based on who I am, what I represent, what I stand for, who I'm giving back to. I want to make sure they know that I'm a Christian, I'm a tithe-paying Christian, uh, and so forth, because that's important. I have family. I've been married now for, is it 25 years? Yeah, it's
Whoa.
been 25 years coming up. So with 2 kids, making sure their mind and their head is straight and make sure that they know that I value that because that overall helps your brand.
Mm-hmm.
And not
Mm-hmm.
saying that I'm doing it for my brand, but that's my reputation. And the older I get, I'm finding out that's way more important. I found out I was good. Never had a problem of client, worried about if clients coming in, because most people there have financial situations. I always tell them, now the problem come in when your phone stop ringing or you stop getting those emails.
Mm-hmm.
People stop calling you, and that's when you have to worry about career shifts and all that. But as
Mm-hmm.
long as you getting, even if you mismanage money, this, that, and that, as long as the work is still coming in, regroup, do what you need to do. But when it comes to branding and your reputation, people want to be around good people.
Mm-hmm.
People want to be around somebody who got a good name. Because I don't care if people can say, do you, be you, you do this. Yeah, they just pumping you up. But at the end of the day, I don't want to really be around this person. I'm trying to get this. I'm trying to be around this person. Yeah, I know you were shaking your this, that, and the other day, but I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
get this over here. So, you know. So reputation is everything. Because it can control your community, it can control your income that's coming in. So when you say a brand, to sum it up, just think about reputation. And like I said, we come in, we work with graphics, we come in, we assist with video production, all the different things that can visually communicate your brand. And then even in doing that, I gotta pick and choose what jobs I want to be associated
All business is not good business.
with. Back in the day, I could probably get away with working. You was very consistent. And so I know when Lisa called, well, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Lisa's, and I'm not, everybody isn't important, but I'm saying, no, Lisa's on a level, because it's levels. In your branding, you're going to go through different levels in your branding. What level are you on, or what level are you trying to aspire to? And I tell people, when you want to be on a certain level, the worst thing you can do is call somebody like me who can get you to that level and say, I'm on a tight budget. Oh, man, tight budget, me. I don't know. I don't know. Well, so what are we working? What do you mean by a tight budget? Is it a cheap budget? Okay, let's find out how much money you're trying to make. Where you trying to go? If you're trying to touch millions, why are you withholding? You see what I'm saying?
You know what? But I think you got to crawl before you can walk. You talked about failures. I read a book recently called Rejection Proof,
Yeah.
which is a very good book because it teaches you how to develop that resilience for the things that are going to happen when
Yeah.
you're going through your journey. Because I know you and I talked about early on how when you're building your brand, you're building your business, there are going to be some bumpy roads. I know for a fact there are some times that my husband cringed at the dollar amount that I was paying for
Yeah.
different things. And so you got to be able to, number one, and this is something I've learned, you got to communicate with your partner,
Yeah.
right? You can't just be working in silos, not letting them know that, oh, I don't know if we're going to be able to pay the mortgage this month because I invested in this new software, this new product. But communicating, um, learning faster than you're growing
Yeah.
is key. Because I started Physician Practice Resources in 2002.
Oh, wow.
Okay, it's 2024. Physician Practice Resources is closed. You would have never, ever, I would have never thought that I would have closed that business. But I realized, especially after taking a huge financial hit, that business, that structure no longer served me,
Yeah.
and it no longer served who I was serving.
Yeah.
And so as I continue to learn and grow, and I realized the power of my brand, that's when I said, yes, I'm always going to be a healthcare professional, but my zone of genius is motivating and inspiring
Yeah.
others. And all the things that I learned, all the mistakes that I made, all the money that I invested, I'm not going to say I lost it, because if I believe in something strongly, I'm going to invest the
Yeah.
time, I'm going to invest the money, but I take it as information that I could use to help others. And it's helping others for me is so powerful. When I see all of the folks that say, I did this because of you. I wrote this
Oh,
book
wow.
because of you. I started my business because of you. I closed my business because of you. I left this bad situation because of you. That's why I do what I do.
Wow. That's an incredible. Because like I think every entrepreneur, because trust me, I've made some just by not listening to certain things or not paying attention. Or my biggest thing is not thinking certain things. Because me, I'm not big on paperwork. I'm not big on paperwork at all. And certain things, and my wife will tell you that I learned from bad experiences. Somebody will tell me something, I'm like, I get to it. It come around, oh, well, that cost me. Ah. But my thing is, even though I am very budget conscious, I always knew as long as I'm good, I'll make it back. I learned from that. I never put too much value on money like that, that if I lose it, that, oh my God, it's in the world. I got to hurry. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I just sit back and come up with a plan, you know? And I think one of the things, and I think you're in the same situation as me, you have a good partner. Somebody that, your husband's good. And my wife was always good. Not only she's a good wife, but she's always been my muse, my motivation. And me, I'm always motivated by my responsibilities. And I'm not self-motivated. If I don't have somebody allow me to see, some people just got vision. And I always think vision is a great gift. Everybody don't have vision. But if somebody sees something, I can put it together. I can map it out. And having a wife that's we should be doing this. What do you think? I'm like, And I'll be honest with some of the stuff. I'm like, man, she really think I can do that? And she, yeah, we gonna. And it's not that, baby. She ain't babying it. No, she's talking as if we about to do it. I'm like, well, let me see if I can do this. And a lot of times it works out. Sometimes it didn't, but a lot of times, yeah, I'm like, oh man, this is cool. That's why it's like, if you're in a relationship and you got somebody that you can, good and bad, that's gonna tell you, hey, no, you're better than this. No, you can do this. And to keep you focused, it's incredible. Especially when you're trying to maintain. I always tell people, your brand is a day to day. Are you willing to go day to day? Be repetitions, do the same thing to maintain that brand. And then when it's time to elevate, make some tweaks, make it better, do the adjustments. Because a lot of people, change is going to happen. And one thing is when I finally got a process and I got to switch up, because as you can see, AI is coming in the mix. I got to invest in this, even though I don't, some new technology I got to learn. Just that I got to listen, bring some more young people in so I can stay young and fresh. Because you got to think, when you to stay fresh and stuff, I'm not hanging with the Gen Zs and millennials, even though I have to do work for them. So you have to be involved. So you have to bring new people into your environment. You got to be open.
That's hard, isn't it?
Oh, you got to be prepared to say, no, you do it like this. Because it was one situation I was working in. And it was some terminology that I thought went one way that was meant one way in our generation. Designed this whole thing. And they was like, what is this? I was like, well, you said this was this. That's not what that means. Really? What does it mean? So everybody in the room, I was like, so if we say this, y'all don't think this? They was like, no, we think this. So I had to shift it, and I was so uncomfortable for like 3 months because I had to base it off the way these Gen Zs thought about something. I'm back doing homework, asking questions. I'm relying on them to give me the feedback so it works. And even though it worked, I had to be involved in that chain. And that's how your brand continues to grow, because everything changes and it happens so fast.
It does. And you have to become comfortable being uncomfortable. When I got to that point, that's what allowed me to resign. Because I realized, number one, you said something that was really powerful. My husband, when I saw the shift in him, when he was fully on board in the Growth Motivator enterprise, that's when I realized, all right, now is the time. But I got comfortable being uncomfortable, and that's when the magic started to happen.
Wow.
So we have talked about so much related to personal branding, professional branding. Your website is scrolling down the bottom of our screen right now. So our listening audience, our viewing audience can contact you. And I'm just going to say this from experience. If you want an, Woolworth, let me see, Aldi, what's all the inexpensive places? Because, sometimes, and I was talking to my accountant about this. If you want an H&R Block experience, you go to H&R Block.
Yeah.
But if you want to partner with someone that's going to take you and your brand to the next level, you have to spend the money. Yeah. If somebody tells you they're going to build your website for $250, you need to take your $250 and put it in your pocket and just save up your money so you can be ready.
And so what I do is I don't ask people what their budget is. I always ask them what their goal is. And my mentor, real good partner of mine, Eric E. Smooth Miller, he broke this down for me. He said, when I go into something, I look at, for example, and I'm paraphrasing, if I'm trying to get to $1 million and I got to see how much is it going to cost me to get to $1 million. You see what I'm saying? So if I find out everything I need to do, and if it totals up to $100,000 or $250,000, I got to ask myself, is me spending $250,000 worth me getting this million? The point is, he focused on the game, not how much he's got to spend out. And the problem is, a lot of people focus on that $250,000. And they lose focus on their goal, which is the million. Because at the end of the day, if it works out, you gain $750,000. And then if you're doing it on the service end of things and you don't want to put money involved, how many people do you want to help? Now, if you're just looking at the amount I got to spend to help those amount of people, the lower you bring that price down, the less amount of people you're going to help. The lower that price goes down, the less of that million is going to trickle down. See, your most wealthy people, that's all they're thinking about is, this is my goal. And nothing's going to stop me with their goal. So when you're talking to those people, they don't go in, the first thing they're talking about is, I don't want to spend much. Those usually right then and there, they're not sure of what their plan of action is going to be, at least when they come to me. I see the difference in the conversation. Certain people come in, they just ready to get the ball rolling. So it's easy. That's why I try to talk about money in the beginning. So a lot of people are so scared to talk about money in the beginning. I like to make sure, because time you can't get back. So if we go in, I want to make sure that you're able to afford what we need to do. And if you're not ready, I got referrals to refer you to people that can get you where you need to be. And as soon as you're ready to elevate, we can get you there.
Yeah, I remember working with a coach, and she said to me, the organization will never be able to pay you your worth, but they will pay you your rate.
Yep.
And so I was afraid. I submitted a proposal to do a full day workshop. It was a leadership retreat. I submitted this 5-figure proposal, and I submitted it from a place of peace, confidence, and I was at this place where if they said no, I was okay.
Yeah.
Because they just missed out on the experience.
Yeah.
And I'm confident in knowing that the Dr. Lisa L. Campbell Growth Motivator experience is so powerful that you got to pay for that experience. And if you can't pay for it this year, let's talk about your next year's budget. You can budget for bringing me in for that experience if you want your lives changed.
Well, most people who are successful, like me, every year since I want to say 2016, I actually started when I was introduced, and this is an online coach. I was introduced to an online coach. I followed him for about a year. After when 2017 hit, I started investing in a coach. And every year I spend more and more just getting that research, somebody holding me accountable, providing resources, and that's how you grow. Mm-hmm. And so what you're doing is, I always say that you have a sort of a bigger responsibility, because the people who can invest in a coach, they now have an expectation. So even if you slip, they're gonna try to get you back, because they kind of need you to stay on course, mm-hmm. because they made you part of their life. It becomes personal. Mm-hmm. Like, mm-hmm. Hey, I'm investing this money because people will say, how much you spend each year for coaching? I'm like, in the thousands, easy. Mm-hmm. But the return I've been getting after a year of coaching, and you have to, and this if you really want to help your brand, like be consistent, be the best out of you. You have to get somebody you trust and follow the steps. Only person you're cheating is yourself.
Absolutely. It's like when you're in recovery as an alcoholic, you got that 12-step process. Yep. You have to have a process. And that's something that I really learned from working with a coach, the importance of processes. Yeah. I think earlier in my entrepreneurial journey, I was just focused on the service I provided to the consumer, to the customer, and less on my internal processes. And the lack of internal processes caused some financial, challenges because I didn't have those in place.
Yeah, process is very, very important. And that was something that I lacked, especially in the beginning. I didn't have a process. I didn't have a consistent communication with clients. I didn't have a consistent way of doing. My pricing was all over the place. I was basing my pricing off the people that I was working with instead of having a certain clientele of people I wanted to work with, or just have, later on in life, it became important why people have a mission and a vision, something that they can always go back to, because other than that, you just project to project, person to person is how you juggling, and you're just all over the place. But once I finally put a plan in action, had some consistency going, my name started to be known as this. The whole TS thing really took a life of its own, and so I had to make sure that stayed intact. So yeah.
I love it. Well, listen, it has been an honor to chat with you about branding. I am definitely appreciative of the brands that you've helped me build. Yeah. And I'm just excited about both of our futures.
Me
we're
too.
Still young. Yeah. still young. And if you would have asked me, and I don't know if you thought about this, I never envisioned myself doing what I'm doing now, like this talk show and the
Yeah.
podcast and all of that. I never saw myself doing it. And when I started walking in my purpose,
Yeah.
it's such a comfortable place that I don't want to leave here.
Yeah.
All I want to do is go to the next level.
That's dope. That's dope. And that's the key. Like when you now you're gonna see what the heights go, because it's always good when you get a client that believe in their product and service. I mean, like really, like I got something here. Like most of the time, people are like, this is the potential. I hope they go in. I hope this work. I hope they go in there with that. I know I'm great attitude. You know. You know. I'm good. And you know it.
Kind of like Muhammad Ali,
yeah,
right?
You go in, and that's why I love sports. I'm not really good at playing them, but I love the competitive, because my business is valuable because of competition. You wouldn't really need me if you didn't have competition. Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You need your stuff to look better so that you can get the attention you want. Attention is only gained by visuals, what looks better, what sounds better, and yeah. Once you get that person that just feel really good and confident, you can feel it, because you've been in a room with some insecure people. That's the hardest person to try to convince that branding and marketing and advertising works. But
mindset.
Yes, it's mindset. But you get somebody who hungry. Now they now they putting it on you. I got an expectation of you because I see it. They visually see an outcome. They don't know how they gonna get there, but they see themselves at that finish line and they see the outcome. They just don't know what they got to do, and that's where my services come in, to put elements together to help them communicate, to get the attention that their brand, whether it's a product or service, needs.
I love it. Well, listen, everyone. This has been another episode of the Growth Motivator Live. I was spending some amazing time today with Trevell Southall talking about personal and professional branding. Please be sure to follow both of us on our social media channels. They are flashing across the screen. Until next time, everyone stay safe.